Well, that was totally wild. So, my last video just cut off at 15 minutes, a little over 15 minutes, at exactly 222 and 77% battery. And I was at like 99% capacity of my file storage. Didn't know that, never got a warning. So, all of these number synchronicities 222, 77, 99. Holy cow, that was totally crazy just now. Balance and harmony, 222, balance and harmony. 77, inner wisdom, divine alignment, all of this stuff, like really good synchronicities. 99, completion energy. And I just went through a bunch of my files to delete them really quick, and I went to some of my unused apps, and it had 337 megabytes of information that I had to delete. 337 is Avery's birth time. I mean, that was just, that moment was totally crazy. I'm like, because I was about to discuss with you guys the books that I found at TJ Maxx. Now, this is why I'd make these videos, is to show you the proof, to show you how these things align. And it can be very jarring, very nerve-wracking, because like some people, when they're first starting to get these signs and synchronicities, it can be very overwhelming. That's why I always say, just journal everything. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, just don't. Just journal it and let it sit and marinate, and then you can decode it later. So, speaking of decoding, what I often see in my mind's eye when I do all of this stuff is I get all my signs and synchronicities throughout the day. I come home, I sit in my sunroom with my journal, I journal everything, I connect all the dots, and I said to myself one day, you know who you are? You're freaking Ralphie from the Christmas Story Tarot. Instead of locking yourself in the bathroom, you lock yourself in the sunroom and you're like, what is this about? Little orphan Annie, help me. Honest to God. I have my little decoder ring and I'm like, oh my God, I want to solve this riddle. What is this about? And I'm like, I swear on my life, if I get to the end of all of this stuff and it tells me to drink my Ovaltine, to remember to drink my Ovaltine, I'm just going to chuck all my journals at the universe and be like, I'm done. I'm done. But that's like, it's the irony, is the universe is so funny. They say sometimes like God has like greatest jokes, and there's intuitive healers coming through with a message right now. Hold on. The lessons. Is this really your belief? Yes, it is. So, unreal. I'm going to watch that later. Sometimes she has things that have popped out. She's the one that verified my wealth code. So if you guys want a good source, if you're like, if some of the stuff that I talk about resonates with you and these wealth codes and some of these other energies I pick up on, check the Intuitive Healer 333 on YouTube. She's really knowledgeable as well. So balance, harmony, inner wisdom, cash with 337 Avery going into these books. So check this. You cannot make this stuff up, guys. So I go to pick out my new journals and I pass this end cap that has some books on it. I was never a reader in school because like I said, I had the scarecrow mentality that I had a peanut brain and I could never remember anything. So especially when it came to like school books, I would read one page 1,000 times and it just would not click. Probably because I was reading bullshit garbage, but I just never had retention for any of this stuff. Now give me material that I know and that I really enjoy, then I probably could pull some fun facts. But anyways, I see these certain books pop out at me. One is called The Inheritance Games, and the other one is called Divine Rivals. First book, The Inheritance Games, catches my eye because I've been getting lots of inheritance messages. So I take some pictures of the covers of these books and I was like, this is what I do, is I take a snapshot or whatever and I go about my life because I can't just sit in TJ Maxx and be like, what is this about? You know, I do my decoding later on like a true Ralphie does and lock myself in the proper room. So I snapped these pictures and then later on I did decode it and figured out that The Inheritance Games, which was this beautiful like emerald and gold cover, which was tons of energy that I was feeling that day, tons of that particular color, was a book about a high school student named Avery Grams, Grambs, Avery Grams. And she is a high school student that gets an inheritance from a billionaire that she didn't even know. And the way that she ended up winning her inheritance was she had to go stay in a mansion filled with secrets and riddles. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. What do I do with my life? Is like, I try and crack these riddles that the universe is giving me, and that's going to lead to my inheritance. So at least that's the story I'm telling right now. And so, like, the fact that Avery has come through with wealth codes and 115 and gematria is wealth codes, which led me back to Avery. This stuff just is continuously orbiting and orbiting and orbiting. And he has been helping me all along get to what my birthright is and what I'm divinely supposed to inherit from this lifetime. I'm convinced of it, and I'm going to keep speaking it until you guys see the proof in the pudding. So the second book was Divine Rivals, and that was about two journalists who fall in love through magical letter writing connecting while they were covering war between gods. And that's all Mars energy right now. Mars is the god of war. So it's almost like they were connecting as these rivals, but then they ended up falling in love. So I'm like, okay, I want to end up, meeting my person, and maybe it is through covering some of this stuff and speaking my authenticity and my truth. And, maybe Mars is bringing me a present. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked. So anyways, those books were really very telling for me, especially the inheritance games, because that's going to come later on. There's even more inheritance messages that came through. But with even the last name Grams, not only does it have my gram in it, but in German, that name means farmstead. And that's obviously a part of my home. Is I want it to be like a homestead, a farmstead, whatever you want to call it. It's an all-encompassing. It's a sanctuary, but it also is, my land, my food, my abundance, everything that I can share with other people. So I thought that was really beautiful, because my gram lived in Germany for a period of time in her life. So awesome connection there as well. All right, so I go to Hobby Lobby, and let me highlight some of this so that I don't overtalk some of this stuff, because I'm going to try and keep this one somewhat brief because I want to go out and do some stuff. But I'm on my way to Hobby Lobby to buy stuff for a mala that I wanted to make that was Wizard of Oz themed. I wanted to purchase some gold beads, some red, and some emerald for Yellow Brick Road and the Ruby Slippers, and for the Emerald City. And I wanted to buy a red tassel for the end of my malas. I always put like a little tassel at the end, and I typically use white, gold, or black, but for some reason I was like, I need red. Red kind of connects it down to the root chakra. It's also Mars energy is red, and it's rooting something from your mind into physical reality as well. You're rooting it back into the system. So I was on my way to Hobby Lobby, and I went to Lowe's first. Okay, now you guys are gonna think I'm insane, but please trust me when I tell you guys this stuff. So I was picking up a bunch of paint samples. My friend wants to have her foyer painted before the house sale, and paint colors have been very telling for me as well. The last couple colors that I've picked, they've really spoken to me. So when I go, I just kind of am feeling my way through the color samples and seeing what wants to come through. I just treat it honestly, these things are a game at this point. I just kind of let myself feel into it. Same thing with my mala beads, is I let my intuition kind of just guide me, and I pull, whatever stones I need or whatever paint colors I need, and then there ends up being some messages. So in Lowe's, before I go to Hobby Lobby, I find a color called Stone Lion, and that has 11-2 on it. That's balance and harmony and new beginnings energy. All right. Another one, accessible beige. All right. So I'm rating this as Stone Lions, accessible. Now, Stone Lions are very important. Now, and this is going to go around her doorway as well. Stone Lions used to protect doorways or gateways. A lot of people use them in Europe. They're very, very popular over there. They're the guardians. That's Lyran energy. They're the guardians of the galaxy sometimes, and the different gateways that you can go through. So I loved that color, and lions are very important to me. I have a lion tattoo on my arm. I have Leo energy in my birth chart. I have a lion sculpture that'll be going around Avery's little chair throne thing that I have designed for our sanctuary. So I loved that. I was guided to a color called Lion of Hadrian, another lion vibe. Honey locust. I was like, okay, I was trying to do like a creamy color to match a blue door and then some carpet, and there's like an orangey tile in the foyer. So I had to like kind of play around with some of that stuff. Those were lighter colors. I did grab some other ones that were darker, but I knew I wasn't going with them. But the gateway arch, woodland stone, homestead brown, mothwing, and retreat. This is like a greener color that I randomly just picked. So it's just, to me, these messages kind of come through again. It's kind of like tarot. I play with my signs and synchronicities, and I just let things kind of speak to me. And I really loved some of those, but the winner is going to be Stone Lion. So that's, yeah, this color. It's kind of like a soft beige. There's a tiny tint of gray to it. Really, really love it. But I think that's going to be a perfect color for that area. But what was interesting is, so I am going to try and be really super delicate with this next part, because for privacy reasons, I feel like I kind of need to just be really delicate. But I saw a license plate that said Z1900. For whatever reason, after these paint colors, with the retreat coming through, with the stone lion and some other things that are, for me personally, are in these colors, I see this license plate, Z1900. Now, when I lived in Michigan, the retreat owner's last name had Z involved in it. And then there is a backstory with a stone lion as well. So I felt like that was very telling. And that's not the reason why I picked that color. It was for other reasons. But I ended up researching Z1900 later on, and who or what that meant. And what I found extremely interesting is it's from a man, and his name is James Vanderzee, that died May 15th of 1983. 1983 is my birth year, and May 15th is the day we're going to get to after this. We're on the 14th right now. May 15th, I did something very interesting that I didn't connect the dots until much later. But this man was a photographer, and he was like, I don't remember the exact terminology they used for him, but he was like a Renaissance photographer, like up and coming from his time era. And he ran a studio called GGG Studios, and he did his photographer business for a very long time. And he was just like kind of like this, I don't know, like this, what do you call it? Like someone who's just like thought outside of the box. And I looked at some of his art later on, and it was interesting. It was a lot of weddings that he took pictures of. There were some deaths, like it was like people in caskets and stuff. And so there was like death and reunion energy, or union energy, that I was kind of sensing from some of his stuff that was coming through, which makes sense. And I'm going to get to that. But so I made a mental note again and just kind of went about my business. So I get to Hobby Lobby, I grab my beads, and when I had been walking into the store, I see another license plate that said GG111. GIGI 111. Now, Gigi is a nickname for grandma, right? You could call her Gigi or Mimi or whatever corny little names they have for grandmas. So Gigi is grandma energy, 111, new beginnings. And honest to God, the other plate, they're starting to talk to me in tandem, these two plates appearing at one time, like just the kitty G and meow. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing Gigi and these other license plates for this man ran a studio called GGG. It's like all of this stuff. You can't make it up. So the other license plate said PAX 33, PAX 33. 33 is master number. And I was like, oh my God, PAX, because my Gram, lived in Paxton. And Paxton is a name. The nickname can be Paxton, can be Pax. So I was like, those two together is my grandma right now. Church bells are going off as I'm saying this. So it's just so beautiful when you see these synchronicities. It was like, again, I was like, Graham's with me, you know, just like the Graham's book with Avery. It's like they're all starting, it's starting to make sense that they're together right now and they're helping me through all of these shifts and changes that are going on. So I decided that I'm going to grab some more show and tell items. I wanted to do something a little strange. I don't know, maybe. I don't know if other people do this, but you can tell me. There was a day that I was at Hobby Lobby and I saw Grandpa's chair. It was fragrance, and I did share a Facebook post about this one day as one of my other synchronicities. I found Grandpa's chair. Now, my grandpa, sweet little peanut, let me show you, my little warlock grandpa, he used to have this blue chair that he sat in all of the time. And even through like other stages in his life and other places that they lived, he always had this like crushed velvet light blue chair. And it was one of like his staples. That was his chair, is a recliner chair. So I had seen one day Grandpa's chair and gardenia blossoms. And gardenia is my grandma's favorite flower. Okay. So I decided I was going to buy both of the packs, and Grandpa's chair has musk, oud, and bergamot in it. Gardenia blossom has gardenia, jasmine, and lilac. I wanted to blend the two. I wanted to put them together because I know whatever realm they're in right now, they are together. I know they are. So I wanted to make sure that I was representing them properly in my home, not only with these pictures on my altar right now that I just pulled that morning, but also through some wax blending that I wanted to do, because I wanted a signature smell in the house that when I go past it in the kitchen, it smells so good. Those two scents together, because Grandpa's chair is a little bit more masculine with those smells in it. The musk and the bergamot in it is like a little bit more of a masculine scent to it, whereas gardenia is obviously like more floral. The two of them together smell so good. So good. I mean, the whole house smells amazing now. So I was like, you know what? It just brings me tons of comfort, and it's something that is special to them and how it keeps them with me. All right. So I pick up the wax. I get my beads. I keep my malas in burlap sacks with white hearts painted on the fronts. And I like to write the name of each mala that I make. So I've got my queen bee mala. I've got the first one I ever made. I have earth, air, fire, water mala. I have my Oz mala now. I have a moon mala. I have all kinds of them. I mean, I've made like, I think at this point, like 15 of these things for myself. And then I gift, certain ones to other people as well. So I really wanted these burlap bags that I had bought the last time I was there and was making a mala for myself in the springtime. And I was looking all over the store for their little burlap favor bags with these white hearts. And then I just write in, black ink what the name of it is. And I store it in like one little pouch. And I really wanted those bags to keep them consistent, right? So I go to like the wedding section. I didn't see them. I go to the like cake section where like treat bags and stuff are at. Couldn't find them. And I went back and forth in the store about 4 or 5 times. So I finally go back to the wedding section. All right. And all of a sudden, this song starts to play on the overhead speaker. Now, Hobby Lobby is kind of like family friendly. So they're more of like subdued little like, nice music, nothing like too obnoxious or whatever. I like are walking in Walmart. Sometimes I'm hearing the songs in Walmart and I'm like, why is this playing in the store? But so they're a little bit more subdued, Hobby Lobby, right? They're a little bit more conservative. So all of a sudden, the wedding song that my brother and his wife got married to started playing in the overhead. Now, I'm going to be real honest because this is part of my story. And I try not to share this stuff on social media, but you know what? I'm in a fuck it mood, so we're just gonna come out and say it. So when I originally heard the song, I was like, because it strikes a chord with me, and it's a thorn in my side because my brother and his wife chose to get married on Avery's first death anniversary. And it was a very difficult day for me, and one where I was not able to participate. Even though I was asked to stand up in the wedding, it was one that I had to choose not to participate because I already knew the state I was going to be in. And it has come with a lot of healing. I'm going to try and leave it there because I'm going to try and respect my family and my personal space, but I am going to put that out there. It was a little bit more of a difficult situation for me to have gone through. So when I initially heard the song, there was a little bit of a ping, like a little, in my chest, and I was like, oh God, this song. But I didn't know what song it was at first. I like who sung it or where it came from, right? And I hear it, I get this ping, all right, in my chest. And then I realized, I looked around and I was like, oh my God, I literally just walked back into the wedding section and here this song starts to play from their wedding. And then I started laughing to myself because this happened one other time where I was in Walmart and I was looking for wildflower seeds. And the exact moment I picked up a wildflower packet, the song Wild Flowers, Wild Horses started to play in the overhead. And it was that exact lyric, the wildflowers, wild horses, as I picked up the envelope. So this coming through at that exact moment, again, divine alignment for a reason, because I didn't know who sung it and I didn't know the name of the song. So I bust out my phone and I Shazam it. Now it's listening to the overhead and it comes up Canon in D, and the album cover that popped up was Take Me Home Country Roads. And I was like, this isn't, who sings that freaking song? John Denver? I don't know. So I was like, this isn't Take Me Home Country Roads. I get all pissed and I'm like, that's not this song. What are you picking up on? So I do it again. Same thing happens. So I go to my handy chat GPT and I'm like, okay, riddles time. I always approach my chat GPT when I don't know something and I call it riddles time. And I was like, okay, riddles time. I'm like, and you're going to think I'm bananas, but we're going to try this out and see if this works. I said, I'm hearing this song right now and it's not the standardized, Here Comes the Bride, dun, 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 I was like, it's this other song. And I start doing the, ba, 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 whatever the, like, way that the song goes in my chat. And I was like, there's no freaking way this is going to pick up on this. It's not going to know this. Like, you're just wording like a tone. Sure enough, he's like, that is 1000% canon indeed. I was like, oh my God, my Shazam was right. What in the world right now? I was like, at first, like, AI is so smart. So I was like, yay, like now I know I can sing to him. I didn't know I could sing to him, but we can. So, but what was interesting again with the Canon and D is picking up on the camera energy again that I was getting. Canon and D and the picture energy and the union energy and just me standing in that wedding aisle in that exact moment. It was like I was getting this anxious feeling of union again, of like just love just love. And that can look like different ways too, where we don't have to necessarily assume that it's going to be someone in our physical reality. It could be our divine feminine and masculine reaching union within ourselves. It could be on an energetic standpoint. It can also mean marrying the spiritual and the material world, which is something I'm trying to do, is marrying this spiritual idea, this thing that I have in my mind that I want to bring into a physical reality. It could be knowing that that's going to be some kind of union that's taking place, where finally everything that I've been speaking into the universe is ready to come into union and materialize and solidify in my current reality. It could also be grief and purpose, marrying those two, which was interesting because, I was grieving that day in was 2018. And I was like, the grief and the union literally were on one single day. Was, yes, the death of Avery, but a year later, the union of someone else and their marriage. So, I have come to terms and peace with many of these things in my life. But when you look back, it's like you get this higher perspective, right? Of course, it had to take place that particular day. It was a cycle, right? Is grief and union. They can come together because it takes loss to sometimes get to what you truly deserve and desire in this life. And some of it is detachment, which kind of goes back to the old selves too. There has to be death before there's rebirth, right? And again, homecoming to self. So I'm trying to go through the rest of these notes. I'm kind of keeping track on my time here and the fact that I feel like I've been talking forever. So I'm starting to get a little, I feel like I need to kind of wind down at this point. So we're only going to do these 2 videos today. But so I end up getting my total at the end of that particular trip. It was $333 or $33.03. So it was a 333, and I also had purchased my mala beads at 606, and 606 is the same time stamp that I got my key at Walgreens at 606, and it was key 66. And I was noticing also with Walgreens is it has literally the word green in it. So, the green energy is starting to come through even more again. So I think we're going to kind of end on that note. I ended up coming home, blending the 2 waxes at 654 descending energy into my wax warmer. And it was just this beautiful way to end that evening. I realized also, very interesting fun fact is Dee company is called Darcy and David's. They are a company from Poland, which is where my great grandfather is from. So interesting synchronicity there, where I felt like everything was coming back into my ancestors and lineage. So we're gonna end this video here, and I will be jumping back. I'm probably gonna do some more videos tomorrow on the 15th onward. God knows what today's gonna bring me, because I haven't even left the house yet, and there's also already been lots of signs and synchronicities that I've gotten from just waking up and journaling and doing some stuff I needed to do. But very interesting. But we'll see what happens and what transpires. But I just want to thank whoever sits and actually listens to these videos. Thank you for being a part of my journey, and for listening to some of these stories. And I know sometimes it doesn't always make sense as I'm going through some of it, but again, I'm building this out in a way where when my life does shift and change, I'll say, well, go back to these videos and watch them, because I do know what I'm talking about, and I do know that these crumbs and these codes and these experiences that we have are meant to guide us to exactly where we're supposed to be. And in the next few videos, I'm going to share just the most beautiful message that I got that came from Goodwill. And I'm just I'm so grateful that whoever listens to these things, if you can take any little nugget of wisdom and apply it to your own journey, that's all I can hope for. And so with that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening. I love you all, and we'll talk soon. Bye.